I voted for the Republican for the first time ever in the history of me. And I voted Republican all the way down the damn line. You know why? Because it doesn't make sense to give, to put in place a Republican governor and then not give him a Republican legislature that he can actually work with. That's the only way that the gun laws in New Jersey are going to change. That's the only way that the gun laws in New Jersey are going to change, unless, we get this national reciprocity. But even as I pointed out with that, all you're going to have is everything be labeled a gun-free zone. That's all that's going to happen. The Democrats are going to make, stiff-ass penalties, that'll, just bury you, if you, break the law. So if you go to a local mall and they're a gun-free zone and there's some sign, in the back corner behind the trash bin, that says it's a gun-free zone, and you're walking around there, you didn't know, and you just so happen to walk through there, right? Let's just say national reciprocity gets passed. They're gonna bury you. They're gonna say, oh, you broke the law, felony. They're gonna slap you with a felony anyway, or slap you with some hefty ass fine or jail time or whatever, and say that you were in a gun-free zone and you were intimidating, the populace, and you were being a public menace or a public nuisance or whatever. So the whole legislature's got to change. You got, from the African American standpoint, you got all these white nationalists running around like a bunch of assholes, right? They all got guns. The vast majority of them are gun people. As was illustrated by the weapon stashes that they had over there in Charlottesville. I mean, hell, the police officer that shot Walter Scott in the back, he was from New Jersey. A lot of people don't know that. And, it's just, my parents, I know they voted Democratic. My dad's like, oh, I voted Democrat all the way down the line. And I'm sitting there, my dad's old. My dad's like in his 70s. You know what I'm saying? If some shit were to go down, not only would he not be doing the fighting, but I'm saying if some shit were to go down in the future, he's not even going to be around. So my vote has to go to, the situation of, self-preservation. We got racist ass cops running around. You see what happened to the cop in the chief of police in Bordentown. Running around. You should see the what is it called? The affidavit, deposition, whatever it is called. That with all the details of it, the court case, and all the stuff look, that's a good example. Let me talk about the positive. That's a good example of good cops turning in bad cops, because somebody had to turn him in. Somebody had to call the FBI and be like, yo, dude is wilding right now, right? And so the FBI monitored him and took down information and everything. And I'm sure there was more to the investigation than just, the accusation. Like, they have hard evidence, right? So anytime you try to take a police chief down, you got to have hard evidence. So they got hard evidence. So this dude was caught, in the act. Probably somebody was mic'd up, recorded him saying some foul shit, or he's throwing around text messages. I didn't read the whole document. I referred to somebody else's video who gave out the highlights. And talking about line black people up and take them all out like it's Auschwitz or some shit like that, right? He's talking about how much he hates the niggas and the Moulians and all this shit because it was an Italian guy, right? And so that's an example of good cops, calling out the bad cops and basically saving their own ass. Because there's this cop that goes to my gym. I talk to him all the time, and I say to him point blank, I'm like, look, man, these bad cops might get you killed. Because eventually people are going to become sick and tired of being sick and tired. And And, that's a major problem. I'm like, they're going to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then what's going to end up happening is it's like what you see with the white guys that are out there. What do? They go out there and then they, what the hell do you call it? They go out there and, hide in the bushes, call 911, the cops show up, and then they light the vehicle up. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's like fragging in Vietnam, where you had, racist, butter bars or whoever was in charge, who would go out there and they would send out, soldiers, to be point man, send the black guy out to be point man, the most dangerous position in Vietnam, or you would even have whole platoons, where you would have soldiers that like, before this butter bar got here, we already had 3 casualties, and the butter bar, he gets off the helicopter. Butter bar is basically a fresh grad out of OTC and TBS, and he's up there thinking he knows everything, and is trying to, we're gonna take that hill. It's like, we lost 3 guys last week taking that hill, and there was no purpose for us to take that hill. So like they go off and they do this bullshit, and I'm like, again, fragging Vietnam. Motherfuckers are just taking grenades and throwing it in, the commanding officer's tent. Or there was an ambush and then there was a firefight. It's nothing for somebody to sit there and start shooting and be like, oops. Oh, was I shooting in your direction? No, did you get hit in the back of the head with a 5.56? Oops. And so I look at the fragging situation, the same way that I look at what's the other situation? Same way that I look at the Vietnam situation, or the police situation. I look at those 2 situations the same way. I'm like, eventually somebody's going to be suicidal, and they're going to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, just like what you saw with Baton Rouge, just like what you saw with Dallas. You're going to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. And again, these are 2 veterans. These are 2 people who served their country, only to come back and see black people be, abused, by police and whatnot. And I'm so sick and tired of people saying, oh, what about Chicago? What about Chicago? What about Chicago? You hold the thugs and criminals to the same standard that you hold sworn police officers to? It's like when you're getting killed by the state, and then which is because police are the enforcement arm of the state. When you're getting killed by the state, and the state essentially does nothing, doesn't hold them accountable, and gives their blessing, like that's like insult to injury. Like, black people already know that in the eyes of society, like, we ain't shit. But then once you get to a point where, like, now it's like, oh, if we kill you, we still don't give a shit, or we really don't give a shit, or even when it's so blatant that it's on film, we super don't give a shit, you're gonna have a lot of angry motherfuckers on your hand. And anybody who's even remotely or slightly suicidal, that's a problem. As you see with the Muslim terrorists that run around screaming Allahu Akbar, boom. Right? All this stuff about, oh, we're going to legislate criminal activity away. We're going to legislate, we're going to put these people under the jail. What is it? What does that matter? What type of threat is that if in the process of committing the crime, they expect to kill themselves? Right? If somebody wanted to take out a police officer and he expected to die in the process, well, guess what? There's going to be a bunch of dead police officers, and yeah, he'll be dead, but he didn't give a fuck about his own life. He wasn't trying to get away. He was trying to rack up the body count. You know what I mean? So when people talk about, oh, I'm going to, present, laws, we will put these cop killers, in jail. I'm like, the motherfuckers expected to die in the process of what they were doing. That's not going to do anything. Like, it's just nuts. But anyway, like, I had to vote Republican. Because you got Murray up there talking about, or Murray, whatever his name is. I think it's Murray. He's up there talking, we're going to pass gun control, and then, we're going to politicize, Texas, and we're going to politicize Las Vegas, and yeah, we got to get rid of the bump stocks, and we got to, pass all these laws. I'm like, we're already down to 15 rounds in New Jersey. You can't carry conceal in New Jersey. Luckily the Supreme Court or the High Court, deemed having a stun gun banning stun guns to be unconstitutional. I mean, you really got to think about that. A stun gun doesn't even shoot a projectile. Doesn't even shoot a projectile. It's a fucking taser. And then in New Jersey, you can walk around and you can have a knife. You can carry a sharp knife all you want. Knife can be as big as you want it to be. Because unlike with a gun, where the presumption of guilt is automatically there, with a knife, it's actually written into law that they actually have to, come up with, a reason as to they have to come up with the what do you want to call it, the that you have committed a crime. Like the mere possession of a knife on your person does not denote the commission of a crime. Unlike with a firearm, where because they don't give out concealed carry permits unless you're a jeweler, or unless you're a judge, or unless you're a Leo, or unless you are what do you want to call it, you're sleeping with a judge, unless any of these things, right, you can't carry a firearm in New Jersey. And again, right, just like what you saw with the guy that came up to New York, and stabbed the black guy, the I don't know if he was homeless or not, or just old, stabbed him with a damn sword. Then you got the other guy in Maryland, you need to get out of my way, right? Stabbed the Air Force black guy that was going to University of Maryland. I don't know if he was ROTC or whatever. That's just high school. I don't know. But he was military bound or in the military or whatever it is. Stabbed him in the chest. So like Trump has just made like it cool for these assholes to come out. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't speak against it. Even if it's not, he doesn't advocate for it. He doesn't speak against it. He literally it's like benign neglect. Just like as we saw, with Charlottesville, there's good people on both sides. That type of fucking bullshit rhetoric. And I don't support Trump. And I don't support a lot of Republican policies, but I have literally become a one-issue voter on this gun issue, mainly because I live in the state or reside in the state of New Jersey. So, it's like so when I'm in New Jersey, I mean, you're a fucking sitting duck. You're a sitting duck. There's literally nothing that you can do other than pull out your pocket knife, right? There's literally nothing that you can do. All this rhetoric, like the cops is gonna, show up like Superman, like instantaneously if some shit were to go down. And again, they wanna, pass more laws, restrict more laws, and then what? Have us down to 10 rounds, right? Add, make more features on the already restricted AR-15, make them more illegal. Right, so now you can't have a muzzle brake. Now you can't have a pistol grip. Right, now you can't have a barrel shroud, because you all know how barrel shrouds are so dangerous because they prevent you from burning your hand on the barrel. Right, so already can't have a collapsible stock. You're already running around with neutered AR-15s. 15 round magazine limit. But yet they want to restrict it even more. Even though we don't have, these sorts of gun problems in New Jersey other than the most poor and impoverished communities in the state that used to have a manufacturing base but don't have a manufacturing base anymore. They no longer have one. Camden, Patterson, Newark. And then, the racists, they always go, it's because black people and Democrats and blah, 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 right? They always want to go that route. Don't want to talk about the CIA dumping drugs in the black community, right? Don't want to talk about how the deindustrialization of America affected everybody, right? Don't want to talk about, the focus on busting up the black family through the welfare state, through the court systems, or even through, again, lack of employment. What type of patriarchy are you going to have in a community where the men can't provide more than the women can provide for themselves? What type of patriarchy? What type of fathered homes are you going to have where fathers can instill, moral character and all that other crap that Republicans love to, spew about, personal responsibility and da 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 da, Yeah, good luck trying to be a father when you can barely put food on the table. Good luck trying to have respect of your women and your children when you can't provide for them, and yet your women and children go to other races of men for everything that they need. Good luck with trying to lay the rules and lay the foundation when you offer nothing, or you offer less than what they can offer themselves based on what they can get from another man's patriarchy. Yeah, good luck with that shit. I get tired of white folks that like to, spew, busy assignments of the impossible to black men. Everything is predicated off of money and resources. You don't have money and resources, you don't have no say so. If you don't have any money and resources, you cannot lay down the ground rules, the foundation, or anything like that. You can't. You simply cannot be done. Which white men already know. Right? Which is why they go out there and they fight for their wages, and they fight for unions, and they fight for livable incomes and stuff like that. It's only when, other folks talk about livable wages and shit like that they have a problem. But, again, all those unions that were formed, that was white men. 40-hour work week, y'all had to fight for that. Full medical and dental, y'all had to fight for that. That shit was not given. The oligarchy, if it was up to them, you wouldn't have shit. They don't want to give you the little bit that you do have. They'd have you working from Monday to Sunday if it was up to them. You wouldn't have any days off. Again, you had to fight for that. You had to fight for paid holidays and vacations and weekends and all that stuff. You had to fight for that. They weren't going to give you that. They would work you to the bone if they could. But this is all that, no dialogue, no communication, across the aisle. It's and I'm saying not even across the aisle when it comes to the representatives. Fuck the representatives. I'm talking about just in general, like the black community versus the white community. And the white community, in my opinion, is intellectually dishonest when it comes to the vast majority of shit. They can't have an honest conversation about what the issue is. I've only come across a handful of white men in my entire life who get how society works, get how things work, get how communities are maintained, and completely understand the struggles of the African American. I only come across a handful that actually get it, and they know it's all about the money. It comes back down to money. If they ain't got no money, they can't. There's no maintaining of a community. Period. But you get these other people that want to, they want to come down with Jesus and morality and moral character and how you can maintain an infrastructure with nothing but the light of Christ. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like if the light of Christ can't even protect people, whether it's black people in the AME church with Dylon roof, or whether it's white people in this church in Texas, right? It's bullshit. It's always been bullshit. Now all of a sudden everybody's running around talking about, we need effective gun control. Your prayers don't fucking matter. But before it was all about the prayers. It's prayers, the power of the Lord. All you have to have is some faith, and that gets shit done, and you're protected. That's why I've always thought that people who are religious are just dumbasses. They act like this shit gives them a one-up, like Mario Brothers or some shit like that. Oh my God, I got a one-up. I'm better than everybody else. I'm in a better position than everybody else because I have this spiritual one-up. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. That shit don't protect you. What would have protected them in that church is not gun control, but somebody with a gun. And I'm saying, luckily, the neighbor, came to the rescue. But again, liberal media doesn't want to talk about that. How he came out with his AR-15, and I like what he said on the Crowder show or whatever. On YouTube, he was like, look, my man had body armor and an AR-15. If I had gone out there with a handgun, you know what I mean, and he's got, level 3 body armor, I'd have been screwed. Especially at ranges, because, handguns are hard to shoot. Which leads me to another point about, even the going back to the cops and stuff like that. I'm like, it just makes no sense. How you have cops who think that they're invincible, like y'all Tupac said, the biggest gang in America are cops. But I'm just like, again, you piss enough people off, you're going to have a couple assholes that are going to be a threat to you. You're not invincible. You're running around with your level 2 body armor. Anything going over 2,000 feet per second is cutting through that body armor like a hot knife through butter. So if you don't have level 3 body armor, you're fucked. Hell, if you don't have level 3 plus armor, you're fucked, because anybody shooting freaking XM193 ball out of a 16-inch AR-15, that shit's cutting through that like a hot knife through butter. Speed kills body armor, period. Doesn't need a penetrator, doesn't need a steel core, doesn't need any of that shit. That's for that, green tip. The M85 green tip that they use over there in combat in Iraq and shit like that. Right? Designed to, I think, go through the body armor and then tumble. But, who knows? Who knows why it has the steel penetrator in there? Who knows? But, and I'll probably investigate that after I get offline. But, it just, I had to vote Republican. Like, I had to. Because, the liberals are just retarded. And it's so stupid. Like, Bill Clinton told them. He said it all the time. He's like, stop talking about the fucking gun control. You will lose. We lost after 1994. You will lose again. It's like the Democrats. Here's the irony, right? You freaking go over there on the Gun Collective YouTube channel, right? They're always talking about the struggle bus. And I've already known this, right? When the Democrats talk about gun control, guns fly off of the shelves. Everybody's fearful. Oh my God, they're gonna ban it. Oh, I gotta make sure I got mine, right? Even people who are like, oh, I believe in that we need to get rid of these guns and blah blah. Same people talking that shit be the same ones in the gun store asking me which one should I buy. Same people saying, oh yeah, we need more gun control. Yeah. When their ban comes up, they go out there and buy it. The AR-15 that I bought is a secondhand AR-15 that somebody bought in 2013, probably paid upwards of over $1,000, and then I went and I bought it for $850. It had all the stuff. It had all the Jersey compliant stuff. It had all the features that I wanted, right? So I bought it. Maybe I got duped on it, but I'm saying at the time, right around 2013, right? AR-15s were expensive. Now you can get AR-15 for less than, less than $500, but realistically, more like $449, $400. The Delton Sports are $400. Granted, you don't have a hammer forged barrel, but I don't even care about the hammer forged shit. I'm like, these barrels are like $80. You go there in Classic Firearms and pick up a barrel for $80. It doesn't need to be hammer forged. I'm like, does it have a 1 in 8 twist? And is it chambered in 223 Wild? I'm good to go. If the barrel starts keyholing, which again, nobody's going to shoot that many rounds, in the lifetime of the firearm. Most people aren't, because it's expensive to shoot. So the idea of I gotta have the the Ruger AR-556 that has a hammer forged 1 in 8 twist barrel. I'm like, oh, and like you're never gonna shoot enough rounds to even put a dent into making the barrel, like seeing the transition of the barrel becoming less accurate because you're wearing out the barrel. Like you're not gonna see that. I know very few people who even go to the range enough, let alone people who go to the range, especially in the state of New Jersey, and to go shoot their rifles. It's like they're fucking terrified because, you go to the range, you come back from the range, the cops is on you and shit, and it all depends on what cop you come across. Some cops are more lenient than others. Some cops are more reasonable than others, but you could have a cop that could, you stopped at the gas station, or you stopped, somewhere, or whatever. Like you can't even go put the gun in your car and then go to pick up a friend and then go to the range. Now I think they changed the laws on that. I don't know, when they took effect, but I'm saying I remember for a long time that's how it used to be. Like you could only go directly to and from the range. Now I think Chris Christie changed that, but again, that's that further reinforces why I gotta vote Republican. Just for the gun laws in New Jersey. I'm like, I'm telling you, you cannot defend yourself in New Jersey, and then you see all this shit going on in the news, and to a degree, it's kind of exaggerated, because is this shit happening, all over the place? No, it's not happening all over the place. It does seem like we're seeing it more, but I'm saying, it's sporadically random all over the country. Like, it's random. It's not happening in one place more than in another place. It's random. Democrats will argue, it's not happening in blue states. No, in blue states, you got motherfuckers coming up here, stabbing people in the chest. It's like that movie Bushwick. If you want to attack, if the alt-right or the white nationalists, they want to attack, an area, the Northeast is a beautiful place to attack. Because there'd be very, very little resistance. There'd be people running around talking about, the cops need to protect us. And that's another thing that just drives me up a wall. Yeah, I gotta listen to D.L. Hughley, who famously came out speaking out against cops, crying and shit. The cops is racist and they fucking black people up, which they are. Again, I direct you to the police chief of Bordentown, New Jersey, which they are. They're fucking black people up. And then, now, because of after Vegas, makes calls for gun control. I'm like, you should be advocating for black people to arm themselves to be able to defend themselves against the rise of assholes that we see out here that don't like black people. I mean, it just makes no sense for black people to go through the history that they've been through. You can go on YouTube and just type in lynch mob, black people, turn of the century. And look at those crowds of white people hanging black people. Bring the kids out like it's a damn fucking circus, like it's a goddamn carnival and shit. Black man just sitting there hanging, women and girls. Not just black men. Just to illustrate the savagery. And you got people who feel that way about black people, and yet you got people like D.L. Hughley talking about black people. You don't need to defend yourselves. We need to, like, it's this attitude that if you take guns away from the white people, like, you're hurting white people more than you're hurting yourself. Like as though only white people value self-preservation. Only white people, value, the ability and the capability to defend oneself. Only white people. Black people, you ain't allowed to do. I mean, it's such a slave mentality. It's a slave mentality. Pisses me off to no end. Well, NASA said we don't need no guns. All the gun control laws that were created specifically to keep guns out of the hands of black people. 1968 Gun Control Act. The Saturday Night Special, Act. Right? To get rid of all the cheap guns, the Lorsons, the Jimenezes, right? The Cobras. To get rid of those guns, the 25 ACP type of guns. Because they were cheap and they were affordable. Right? I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do something to try to bump up the price on the Sky pistols, which are only going for like $64 or something like that on Midwest Industries, right? They've become the new pump and dump gun from drug dealers. Right, I heard that from Firearms Guy. So I watch all these YouTube channels of gun people. I watch them all. I've learned a tremendous information of white people about firearms. And it's just, it blows my mind to sit there and, here you got D.L. Hughley. The cops is racist. They're coming for black people. Hide your kids, hide your wife, right? And then turn right around. Well, I think that the only people who should have military-style weapons are trained police officers. I thought you just got finished saying that they was racist. I thought you just got finished saying that they was out here fucking black people up. Now all of a sudden, they're the only ones that should have guns. Even I'm saying, forget D.L. Hughley. I'm saying even just the liberals and Democrats in general. You just got finished saying the cops is fucked up, right? Facebook all day, cops is fucked up. Oh, here's another video. Cops doing some fucked up shit. Here, check it out. Cops is fucked up. Look at him. Oh, look, he's handcuffed and he's hitting him with the baton. What's that about? Look, he's on the ground. He's handcuffed. The cop got a knee on the neck and another cop comes up and then tases the guy. What's that about? You know, police brutality, right? They're talking all this stuff. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, motherfucker, who's going to watch the watcher? Who's going to watch the watcher? Who's going to check the watcher? Especially when the government doesn't check the watcher, because that's their enforcement arm. That's their sick dog. You know, and then again, I ask white people all the time, I'm like, when is it okay for black people to fight tyranny? Is fighting tyranny only for white people? Sure as hell seems like it is. Only they can determine, you know, when it's okay to shoot at police. Not black people. Oh, you better not, nigger. You better not. Oh, not black people. You know, when we do it, we're terrorists and all other type of shit. And, Black Lives Matter, they're a terrorist organization. Oh, they're the enemy. But James Yeager, you know, Obama says, hey, you know, we're going to ban assault weapons and shit. And James Yeager, take one more step, and I'm going to start killing people. Right? And what do? They come down, they take his carry permit, and then they give it right back. If a black man did that, you think he would get his shit back? Fuck no. You know, it just makes no sense. You know, it's like, so you can see the abuse of power at the hands of police, which is the enforcement arm of the government, but you can't translate that into the abusive power of the government itself, and why the Second Amendment was there in the first place, to be able to challenge, a tyranny. I mean, what pisses me off is like when people try to quote the Second Amendment and they talk about, a well-regulated militia necessary to a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, right? That's what it says, right? And they always say, the well-regulated militia, and then they try to reduce it down just to regulate it. I'm like, first off, it says the right of the people. It does not say the right of the militia. The second thing is you have to look at the Declaration of Independence to understand the purpose of the Second Amendment. What people don't read is the second paragraph of the preamble of the Second Amendment, of the Declaration of Independence, not the Second Amendment, Declaration of Independence. It says right in there, not for transient reasons, but if the government becomes tyrannical, where it's unbearable and shit, it is your duty. It says duty to overthrow said government and replace it with one that works for you. I mean, it's right there in the fucking preamble. It's right there. It says it right there. I wish I had the I don't even know if I still have it. Let me see if I have it. We the people, the Constitution. Where's the preamble? Nah, it's not going to be in here. It's because this was in the Declaration. No, it's not in here. Delegates, prior adoption. Nah, see, I had it on my phone for the longest time. Damn, it's not in here. Yeah, but you got to read it. It's in the Declaration of Independence. It's right there, second paragraph. After the we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, and it's just so frustrating, I think the Democrats are fucked up. I think the Republicans. Let me rephrase that. I think the Republicans are fucked up. Democrats are like, they got too much of this like bleeding heart bullshit. They got too much of this like, I kind of feel the Republicans when they talk about like the socialism and shit like that. I kind of get them on that. I feel them on that. Where it almost seems like people are not held to being personally responsible. But then on the flip side, when you go to the Republicans, then it's like they want no compassion for anybody who ain't white. Right? Just as we see with this opioid heroin epidemic, right? Back in the 80s and the 90s, or shit, even in the 70s, when it came to the war on drugs, it was lock niggas up. Okay? Break up the families, lock them up, throw them underneath the jail, all that shit. Now that it's white people with this opioid crisis, we need compassion. We need understanding. We need treatment centers. please allow us to pass this vote so that we can allocate $500 billion to treatment centers for all of these opioid addicted people, because, it's an addiction. All of a sudden, it's not a personal choice. All of a sudden, it's not personal responsibility to choose to go off and shoot up your arm with some heroin. And that's another thing. It's fucking heroin. It's heroin laced with fentanyl, which is what is actually killing them. Because fentanyl is like 10 to 100 times more potent than heroin. But, notice the choice of words. Opioids. Yeah, that sounds so less dramatic than heroin, right? Because there's nothing positively associated with heroin, right? Why don't we just call it what the fuck it is? The dope epidemic, right? The white dope epidemic. Why don't they call it that? No. We gotta give it a more sophisticated scientific name. It's opioids. Opioids that attach to the mu receptor in the brain. It's like, really, motherfucker? Like, really? And this is the type of shit that the double standard, the two levels of treatment that black people constantly talk about, when it comes to, this system of white supremacy. It's not some shit that black people we're just gonna make it up. You know what I'm saying? History says otherwise. History showcases otherwise. You know what I mean? Like this shit just didn't appear all of a sudden. And no, it didn't go away. It's just more covert than it's been. And then I'd say now it's more overt than it's been in a very long time. But before it was covert, because you couldn't like what's his name? The Lee Atwater guy. You can't go up there and say nigger, but you can go up there and you can use abstract terms like busing or states' rights and shit like that harms black people more than it harms white people. That's the impression that you give, right? States' rights. It's all about states' rights. Yeah, states' rights to keep slaves. States' rights to ignore another person's humanity. States' rights, to basically hold people hostage as second-class citizens, right? States' rights to have a marginalized population. States' rights. And I see people arguing about national reciprocity and saying, oh, well, this is interfering with states' rights. I could kind of see that argument, but at the same time, I look at it like this. Look at it like Brown versus Board of Education. The federal government came in and made it so that all the schools are integrated, right? Or all the schools integrated because of the whole Brown versus Board of Education thing, right? But they integrated the schools because what? A population, black people, were being denied, their access to the same quality of education. So they had to come in. Federal government came in, right? Same thing applies to national reciprocity. In states like New York, New Jersey, Maryland, California, people's rights are being denied. So federal government steps in. So I look at it differently. I understand the argument that people are trying to make, but I look at it differently. I look at it, people's rights are being denied, and federal government needs to, step in. Now, what would really resolve the issue, and as we see with Maryland and DC, what really needs to resolve the issue is basically, taking this carry or being able to bear arms to the Supreme Court. But DC didn't want to do that, right? They stopped short, right? Because they don't want to lose everything, because they would have lost everything. And I knew that was going to happen. I was like, they're not going to take it to the Supreme Court, because if they lose that case, then shall issue becomes law of the land. And they don't want shall issue to become law of the land. They want to be able to preserve and maintain may issue in the hotbed democratic regions, right? So Maryland, California, the whole Northeast, New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, like all these places, they want to be able to, keep it the way that it is, may issue, and then get away with it. Just arbitrarily decide, oh, well, you're not of good character, or, you're you're this is about public safety, or you don't have good cause or justifiable need, right? These are the type of coded languages that were used, or the phraseology that was used to deny black people access to guns. And now it's being used to deny white people access to guns in these states. And that's why, black people are very keen on coded language. Like, white people think that they get over on black people when they use coded language. You know what I mean? Like, they just had, one of the things that they had us vote on, was this thing about, land, land preservation and everything else. I know what that is about. That's about basically keeping Section 8 housing away. That's all that shit is about. So the township comes in, they say, okay, we don't want them land development, so we're going to come through and we're going to buy this land, and we're going to say, okay, this is, preserved land. That way they don't have, the people who they don't want in there, which are typically black people and minorities, to come in there and be able to purchase, Section 8 housing or for there to be Section 8 development. So that's what they do to keep them the fuck out. And I'm sitting there and I'm reading the damn thing and I'm saying to myself, I know what the fuck this is about. This isn't about preserving no goddamn forest and shit like that. This is about keeping niggas out. That's exactly what this shit is about. So I'm like, you ain't fooling nobody. It's coded language. It's coded language. And I'm saying black people have had to adapt to white people in their coded language. And white people swear to God that they're so slick and they're so smart when they present this shit. And maybe it does get over on most black people. And that's all that matters, is how effective it is getting on most. It ain't getting past me. That's why I'm a dangerous Negro. They would take me out if there was ever a race war. They'd be like, hey, here's the general. Take him out. They would take me the fuck out. Because that nigger's smart. He's one of those 1%ers of Negroes, because white people, we are intellectually superior and black people are just dumb. But he is one of those anomalies, because African Americans, they actually have 20% European blood in them, 11 to 20%. So therefore, it's the European blood that makes that nigger so smart, right? That's what they're gonna say. But I hate stupidity. I hate it. It's like a cancer. It's like a cancer. And then you got people out here that voting Republican and everything else. And, Trump's going to open up the coal mines. And, they don't even know what, they're so caught up in ideology. They're so caught up in the identity politics. And granted, I acknowledge Democrats are the first ones to play identity politics. And Republicans responded to it by getting that white male vote. Making, white men feel like, they're being discriminated against. No, they're not. White men still control the economic system, the banking system, the political system, the wealth, the jobs, the opportunities. White people ain't going in there, and then they point to the token black guy that's somewhere, scream affirmative action, And I'm like, oh, so you're just threatened by the one that showed up or the one that got the job for whatever fucking reason. Black people only make up 14% of the population in America. And yet you got white people running around, the walls are closing in on us, which is really what Trump's becoming elected is really about. Because white people's birth rates are down. That's why you got all this fucking gerrymandering going on. The working class white people feel like, they're losing everything because, it's not the 60s anymore. You can't just go and walk into a factory and work there for 30 years and have a damn good pension and then go on your fishing boat and fucking retire and, see your grandkids and live comfortably. That's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. And so, they really felt the squeeze, of not adapting with industry. All these people living in Oakley, Stokely, backwater towns and stuff that were supported by coal mines or supported by, one large, manufacturer or something like that. They're done. They're done because they have not adapted with the times. They don't know anything about how to make an app on an iPhone. They don't know how to write code or and they're not computer tech savvy. They don't have any real viable skills. All they did was work with their hands. My pappy worked with his hands. My pappy's pappy worked with his hands. And I'm like, y'all, you in the same boat as black people who also have no skills. You know what I'm saying? You don't have any skills. So this idea that Trump's going to bring jobs back and change the economy and everything. I'm like, it's a global economy now. It's a global economy. No company is going to bring jobs back to the U.S. and they got to pay you, $15 an hour or more, or livable wage. I mean, I don't understand. Like, any job that you have to have 2 jobs in order to make it, or 3 jobs in order to make it, I don't even think those jobs should really exist. Everybody should work a job that actually pays enough, to where they can actually survive. That's just my opinion on it. That's just my opinion on it. If the job is so insignificant that you can't pay somebody a livable wage, do it your fucking self. Do it your fucking self. So, I don't know. It's just my opinion on shit. But, I think things are going to get worse before they get better. I think that, I think a lot of white people are going to get hurt, financially, healthcare wise. And I don't know what they're going to wake up to. I don't know whether they're going to wake up and say to themselves, damn, like, we got hosed. Like, we voted for the wrong dude. And they may not like the Democrats because, they're just like tone deaf and they're not listening. And the Republicans are a bunch of liars, and again, they don't care. I mean, basically the rhetoric of white conservatives or white Republicans is going to bite them in the ass. All that, everything is personal responsibility, and you control your own destiny, and that there's nobody who's rigging the system to fuck you over. You know what I mean? That's going to cost them, because the system is rigged. You see all these people, all these rich people, they put their money, where's their money go? Are they paying taxes? No, they ain't paying taxes. This shit's sitting over there in Switzerland in some UBS bank. Right? Is it UBS or USB? What is it? I think it's UBS. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people have been doing that for forever. Paying little taxes and everything, and then promising that they're going to hire more people. No, they're not. No, they're gonna pocket that shit. They're gonna go buy a new yacht. They're not gonna, I'm gonna hire more people so that they can, live a decent quality of life. There was a time in history where, the oligarchy actually did give a shit to some degree. Where they recognized, they were like, look, if people are living well, we're gonna have, nice communities, low crime, et cetera, et cetera. But now they don't give a shit. Then you get kids that grow up with, a drunken father because dad can't keep a job, so he starts swimming in the bottle, starts abusing them, beating their ass. Now the kid's all mad and he's got all type of behavioral problems, and then he goes out there and does some foul, fucked up shit in society. Either he starts beating his girlfriend or beating his wife, and then he passes that bullshit on to them, and then it just continues, or he ends up, devolving into criminal activity, and then that shit spills on the other people. I mean, humanity is social beings, and then you got all the tribalism that dices all that shit up, racism and tribalism and groupism and ethnicism and religiousism, and, I'm in this camp and you're in that camp, and, it's identity politics. That's what identity politics is. You're a woman, you have to vote with the women. We're men, we have to vote with the men. And then the men get broken up into their racial categories and, that shit. And then, you're Protestant and I'm Catholic, so split, divide again. So it's fucking retarded. It's just retarded. It's retarded. But, nobody's gonna get it. People are just stupid. It's just like, it's depressing. But like I said, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think there's going to be a whole bunch of people who are going to run around and they're going to blame others, because, they voted the wrong way and they got screwed, and they're just going to, it's just going to be, all the demagogues have to do is go up there and, say some, wildly popular shit, even though it's not factually accurate. And then the people are going to go in that direction and they're going to blame. Which is, again, why, I as an African American have to support the Second Amendment. Have to get the fucking Democrats out of office so that we can get rid of this fucking, gun control type of shit. Because shit is going to get worse. I'm telling you, it's going to get... I predicted this shit a long time ago. I predicted this shit years ago. I predicted that Obama was going to win twice. I predicted that Trump was going to win the third time. Or not the third time, but, I feel like Obama is the starting point of a different, a transition in American society. But I'm saying I knew that Trump was going to win. I knew he was going to win. Because, white people felt that they were ignored and identity politics and they felt alienated and everything else. And the Obama represented the image of, whites losing power. So they were going to counter the fuck out of that shit. But see, now, what I like about it is I'm like, no. They got the House, they got the Senate, you know what I mean? They got the presidency. I'm like, no, let this motherfucker burn half of the House down. And then they will see, again, with nobody else to blame but themselves, then they will see how dysfunctional, the Republican Party actually is. They'll see that shit. Only thing I agree with them on basically is gun control and maybe some aspects of being fiscally conservative. That's the only part that I agree with them on. But I'm like, these other white folks that don't get it, man, they gotta see that shit. They gotta get injured in some sort of way. They have to be hurt in like some sort of financial. They gotta lose something. It's a house or whatever. They gotta feel that shit, and then be like, hey, you can't blame it on Democrats, man. Democrats wasn't there. There's all your people in there, people that you put in there. But see, the thing is I don't know if that's gonna invoke an appropriate response. I don't know if it's going to invoke a response where they say to themselves, you know what, this whole system is fucked up. Both of these parties is fucked up. We need a new party, or we need, something else. You know what I'm saying? I feel like all they're going to do is they're going to, you're the problem. It's like, dude, you got your House, the Senate, and the presidency, and the Supreme Court. What the fuck more could you want? And you still got burned. I told you they wasn't working for you. I told you they didn't have your best interests at heart. Are you going to listen to me now? Right? But see, I already know there's going to be some... No, see, the niggers is the problem. They're breathing up all the white man's air with their big African nostrils. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay. So you still don't get it. No, nigger, I don't get it. There's nothing for me to get. The problem is you. Why don't you go back to Africa? And it's like, oh my God, man. It's like, dude, everybody needs money. Everybody needs gainful employment. You can't maintain a community if you don't have it. I don't care whether you're white, black, Asian, Arab, Indian, whatever. You can't maintain it, dude. Okay? We're getting fucked. The jobs aren't as plentiful as they used to be. That should be your main focus. Everything else is fucking fluffy Care Bear, like irrelevant shit like mosquitoes flying around your head. Okay? That main shit is money and resources. That's the main shit. You're not going to have people who are of sound mind and, morality and all that other shit when you have them existing in poverty and shit and going without and everything else and all of the anxiety and frustration and anger that sort of environment freaking creates in people. It's like, God damn it, man. Like, we're on the same fucking team, technically speaking, when you really want to look at it as American society. But again, motherfuckers can't get past their own goddamn racism. I will never form Voltron with the niggers. Like, they're just, I'm like, well, I'm just telling you, you need to form Voltron because right now both of us are getting our asses kicked. You need to form Voltron. That's why I sit back. I mean, I be sipping my tea, man. I be sipping my tea when I watch these white folks go up there and they're crying because they lost their health care. I'm like, lost your health care. Yep. Oh, you crying? Oh, your daughter got cancer? Oh, well, sorry. Unfortunate for her. Should have thought about how you voted. But, like, right now, like, I just don't care. Like, I'm just, like, I have to be, like, a one-issue voter. Because The only thing that black people have defending themselves is themselves. They don't have anything else. Can't trust the government. Can't trust the fucking the freaking the police, right? You got growing numbers of white nationalists running around and shit, and they're just infiltrating and corrupting, the true conservative base. The people just have, they're just conservative. Like it's all there is to it. They don't come with all the other baggage and all that other shit and fascism and neo-Nazis and all that. They're not even involved in any of that. They're just like, they don't want shit to change. They kind of want shit to stay the same. They want to maintain, being the majority population with majority power, and it's like you got, again, fiscal conservatives, and then you got everybody else. Fiscal conservatives, they're one issue voters. They only care about taxes and how much money they're paying. They don't give a fuck about abortions and the Bible and Jesus and whether you say Merry Christmas or not. They don't give a fuck about none of that shit. They don't give a fuck about Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. They don't take that shit personally. But the other people, they put themselves in their own identity politics box. Where they go up there and just this is America, and they just get on that whole bandwagon. And I'm like, oh my God, man, like, it is what it is. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. That's my video. I'm out.